We're now going to look at a few additional ideas and some of the terminology that you might hear associated with it. The first one is ZOPA, the Zone of Possible Agreements. This is a specific type of range of agreement. It requires strong preparation of your own case and that of the other side, and once you have done this, you're able to come up with additional possibilities that might resolve the dispute and analyze them in the context of your own business setting, whether or not they will work out for you. You do have to make sure that they would be feasible for the other side for it to fall under the ZOPA category of what's possible. So you need to go back and look at those interests. Let's pause for a minute and recall Sam and DJ. The parties need to stop and ask each other why. Why are they focusing on specific dollar amounts? It could be because of the division of space or the access and use of the car, but it could also be simply financial constraints. And if that's the issue, then moving, which is one of the agreements considered, is probably not in the zone of possible agreements because moving requires substantial additional expenses. So the ZOPA really only focuses on what is possible. One of the other considerations when developing the ZOPA is what each party's exit strategy might be. This is not just their reservation price, but what are some of the things that also exist that could make them leave this negotiation, whether it's simple emotion that gets in the way, and despite the good intentions, the party can't sit through the negotiation and just gets up and leaves. Or there are outside factors. That's also a variation on the theme of exit strategy. An outside factor that might influence an exit strategy would be something along the lines of one of the parties comes into information that his financial situation is going to change, either positively or negatively, which would then expand or contract the range of possible agreements. Other outside factors might be going outside of just what the parties have control over. It might be approaching the landlord and asking if it's not a load-bearing wall, can they move it? Can they put in other dividers? Are there other things they can do to change the living arrangements, which might then make the rent distribution somewhat more equitable? There are also several factors we looked at before with options with transportation. So the zone of possible agreements is what is possible. There's one other way to look at a range of agreements, and this is really used more in the discussion strategy. For instance, if parties have concerns about how things might get started and neither one really wants to get off on the wrong foot, there's a way to neutralize the entree into negotiation by creating a guideline that says we'll spend the first 15 minutes or 2 hours creating a list of all the possible ways we could resolve this without defining possible as feasible. Good tactic for this guideline is also to include some courtesy rules, no criticism, no eye-rolling, that sort of thing, and taking this time to say, let's just go through all of the ideas out there, basically a brainstorming session, gets parties in a better discussion mode. There's a great potential for building some trust, maybe even some humor and camaraderie, which can cut down on any tensions that might be brewing. And also, if someone does throw something out there that's an extreme, we've all been in these situations, that can change the tenor of something. Usually for the better, because if no one reacts to it in a negative way, then down the road, when you've narrowed down into what truly is feasible to resolve the solution, someone might be more courageous in offering an idea that they would not have if they hadn't had this sort of free flow, no criticism period at the beginning. Of course, if parties don't stick to those guidelines, there's always the chance of that brainstorming session backfiring, a party just putting out a possible solution and the other side having such a reaction to it that all the emotions and tensions they were trying to avoid come flooding back.